Halo Infinite's multiplayer has been out for a little while now, and I've been playing loads of it. Although it's still early in the game's life and there's a lot that could change, it's clear that what we have now is mostly representative of how it's going to be for a while. So do keep in mind that while everything is subject to change, it's unlikely to change in the short term. I'm not covering the single player in this video as it's not even out yet. That will be a separate video. The gameplay is everything that you'd expect from Halo. It's very faithful to the series. That's not a bad thing, as there aren't that many games like Halo these days. Most of the guns are new, and they take a while to get used to, as they all have very specific uses. Once I learned how to use them all though, they start making sense, and they all feel quite good. The gunplay is very good in general, and most of the guns are satisfying to use. The vehicles do fall down a bit for me though. They don't control as well as in previous Halo games. They're also a lot rarer, and there are more ways to counter them. This makes vehicles a smaller part of the game as a whole. The equipment was another thing that took a bit of getting used to, but now that I've played with them all a bit, I think they work well. They all have their uses, and they can all turn the tide of a fight in clutch situations. The equipment, alongside the new movement options of mantling and sliding, make moving around the map quite fluid. Everything here is tightly balanced and satisfying to use. The actual gameplay is great. Let's talk about the modes. There is a good variety of modes, however some Halo classics like Infection and King of the Hill are missing. Also, they didn't really try many new modes, and I'd like to see them try some modes that have been popular in other FPS games, but never in Halo. In particular, I'd like to see how control points and payload might work in Halo. There's no way to queue for a specific mode, so you have no option to just queue for Slayer for example. It's totally random what mode you'll get, and that kinda sucks. There's a good chance that you're not going to like one of the modes, and you have no choice but to play it. So let's talk about the maps. They're a mixed bag. A couple of them are really great, none of them are offensively bad, but most of them are just mediocre. And there's not that many of them, so they start getting repetitive and you'll see the same maps in a row very often. Really, it's a tiny offering of maps, and I think the lack of map variety is the main thing that's going to hurt this game at the moment. To get more specific, I'm going to talk about the three separate queue options: 4v4, Big Team Battle, and Ranked. The 4v4 queue features Oddball, Capture the Flag, Strongholds, and Slayer. It's mostly on maps without vehicles, although there are a couple of exceptions. This mode has 7 maps, which is actually a good variety. A couple of them, like Bazaar, are pretty good as well. Vehicles are only available on a couple of the maps, and most of them only have a single power weapon spawn. This means that it focuses more on precision weapons, and power weapons are more sub-objectives, rather than common weapon choices. Because of the small team sizes, you can make clutch plays that actually feel rewarding and swing the tide of the game. It's a much more tactical mode, and it's a bit less unique than the other modes due to its lack of vehicles, but it's simple and fun, and it's a very standard FPS experience. The other unranked mode is Big Team Battle, a 12v12 mode on much larger maps. This mode has a variety of vehicles and power weapons, which are quite abundant and you can use them quite often. Although I would like to have seen the bigger vehicles more often because a lot of them are a rare sight, especially the Scorpions and the Wraith. There are 4 modes: Capture the Flag, Stockpile, Total Control, and Slayer. There are only 3 maps available though. You're going to see a lot of repeats. Often you'll be playing the same map multiple times in a row. This is a much more unique mode with a lot of combined arms combat and a lot of fun situations. It stands out from other FPS games due to the vehicles. It is inherently a more casual mode, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Due to the increased player count and all the power weapons, you're going to see a lot more big plays, but they're less likely to swing the match because there's just so many more players on each team. It's a great fun mode to jump around in, and it would be my favourite, but it's severely hampered by the lack of maps. 3 maps just isn't enough for a mode like this. You're often going to be playing the same map multiple times in a row, like I said, and it just gets repetitive. The ranked mode is just a variant of the 4v4 mode. It doesn't feature vehicles and it has even more of a focus on precision weapons. It's the one queue where not being able to pick a specific mode makes sense in my opinion, as that way you can't dodge specific game modes. The mode's a lot of fun, although the implementation of ranked has a few issues that I want to flag up. Firstly, if a player leaves early or fails to connect, the game carries on without that player. Around a third of my games had imbalanced team numbers where they were a 3v4 or a 2v3, or even one of them I think was a 1v4, and it's just really unfair, and those games still count as losses. There's no mechanic here to stop games from being scored, and there really should be. Also, you're ranked based on personal performance, which would be a good idea in theory, but it discourages you from sacrificing yourself for the objective. Overall, it encourages selfish play, and I'm not sure it's a healthy system. I also wonder how well this game will do as an esport and how interesting it will be to watch. Although I don't really know, I imagine some modes like Slayer and Capture the Flag could end up being very slow paced at high level. I wonder what reason there is to take risks outside of the rare power weapon spawns. On to presentation. The game looks and sounds okay, but it's nothing special and I don't think the art style is as strong as the other Halo games. There's quite a lot of different announcers and you hear a lot of different voices at the same time. It can be a bit jarring. Also, the UI is confusing and slow. Everything takes a lot of clicks and takes a long time to load. In addition, it's missing a lot of quality of life features. For example, there's no way to view your weekly challenges from within a match. And there's a lot of bugs and overall issues that just hurt the polish of the game. Some functionality like the replay player was entirely broken when I tried to use it. The game is very rough around the edges. Now onto the most controversial part of the game, the battle pass and progression system. The game features a fairly standard battle pass, it has weekly challenges to complete as well as a reward for each game played. This is the only progression that exists. There is no bonus experience for performing well, or even for winning. You're literally not incentivized to win games. Instead, you're incentivized to do your challenges, several of which are often detrimental to your team. In addition to that, some of your challenges will be specific to a certain mode, which is frustrating as you just need to hope you get lucky and the matchmaker gives you that mode. 343 have said they're looking into this system and planning to improve it, but only time will tell if they succeed in that. Currently, the progression system is a mess, it actively hurts the game, and it encourages players to play in a way which is detrimental to the team. Cosmetics aren't really my thing, but everyone I know is burned out on the weekly challenges, and it's only been 2 weeks. I just don't think this system is going to engage people long term, which means it's not doing what it was designed to do. And quite frankly, I think anyone who goes through all the weekly challenges is going to get burned out. Overall, Halo Infinite is a great game in a flawed shell. The actual gameplay is stellar with tight gunplay and a well-designed sandbox. However, the lack of modes and maps makes it feel repetitive, the battle pass feels frustrating to complete, and not being able to choose what mode you play is annoying. These may seem like small things, but I think they're going to drastically hurt the replayability of the game if they're not addressed soon. It has a solid foundation, but it's severely lacking in content. If 343 do a good job of updating the game and fixing its problems, it could end up being one of the best FPS releases in years. And I'm playing it a lot at the moment and really enjoying it, but I just wonder how much longevity it's going to have. It's a good game, and I recommend playing it, but I don't see myself playing it long term unless they fix the glaring issues and add more content. The gameplay is tight, but it just feels like a bare bones experience. If you're on the fence, wait and see whether or not 343 actually fix things. What's your opinion of Halo Infinite's multiplayer? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more reviews. I will see you all next time.